Jumping a little bit backwards for a second, the setting boundaries for men. Sometimes I get the question of, well, setting boundaries, and men have a fear of seeming to, like a bully, or seeming too dominant, saying something too harshly. And that's where you have to dig deep into yourself and know, you could say, you know what, I value integrity, people that are up front. I don't really like to beat around the bush. I like to give you respect. I like to get respect. Same thing for a woman. A woman can say it like that too. Sometimes that seems a little bit sassy still. That's how far back we are in terms of communication. It's just saying your piece. And you, how do you like to get to know people? Oh, I like to jump right in, baby. I'm usually too aggressive, or sometimes I'm too much energy. But it takes me a while because I get anxious or something, and I just have this blast of energy. But then once I get to know somebody, I can be silent with them forever. It's beautiful. There's been very few people that I get to that level where talking is not necessary, but there you go. You could say, oh, I like to take it easy. I like to, see how things progress. Whatever it is, but, I don't really appreciate this kind of language, or I don't care about this. I curse like a sailor. Whatever. Why not? You want to communicate, right? And if you're in something and there's that kind of doubt as to, well, these haven't been expressed, well, so what? Bring it up. If you feel uncomfortable about bringing something up, or you feel uncomfortable with something, it will be uncomfortable. That's very simple. If you need a moment, then give yourself a moment as well to trending word process it. Figure it out. I like that better. Figure it out. Accept it. And now on to things that I had mentioned in the blog about virtual communication. And this will be pretty fast because there were a few different things. But for example, in virtual communication, you have the person right there in front of you. Hopefully they are in an environment where they are comfortable in their own habitat. If they are comfortable, you'll be able to tell. If they're uncomfortable and there's things around them that perhaps they don't feel comfortable sharing, in terms of parts of their world that they don't, many things you'll be able to tell. You have them in this little block space. You'll also be able to tell if the person is distracted. Pay attention to that. Is that their nature, or is this something that they really don't like doing? Or is something that they feel shy about? Don't assume anything. It can be 100 different things. But you have them in the virtual. You have them in that little box. So we continue. Notice their excitement, their comfort level. Don't mistake professionalism for uptight. Notice the eyes, just like you would in regular, everyday communication. But in this, the face, you have a little bit more angle on being able to see the face, the twitches of the jaw, facial expressions. The energy of that facial expression comes through. And notice their hands, their whole beingness. Experience them as the visual that they are at that moment. So really go into that space. Ask away things. You don't like these, do you? Things like that. What don't you like about it? What do you? Talk about something that has to do with yourselves every once in a while as well. Maybe that'll help your communication. So being really, really present in the moment is very, I think to me, it just takes getting used to, but it is very, very loaded with great gifts, things that you could use. You could get close to the screen, farther away. You can do stuff. You can observe stuff. And if you're really tuned in and dialed in, you can use that energy of the electricity, I guess, to get really into that moment. Listen to tone. Listen, listen. Listen with all your ears. Listen. Does that tone come up every once in a while? Does that tone come up only for certain things, for certain subjects? Listen to tone. Does that tone become more relaxed as you have more and more virtual conversations? And you can always use this in the personal, in the physical. Of course you can. But it's a point to make because people forget that you can use things like that in the virtual. Tone, 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 tone. Notice when a person's spark comes out. What are they passionate about? When do they almost look childlike? Notice tension. What do they talk about? When do they interrupt? Do they interrupt? How? I interrupt a lot, but I interrupt gleefully. I interrupt happily. It's usually because I'll forget what I'm going to say. So the energy is just amazing. And you can pick it up if the person's being rude, if they're cutting you off a lot, if maybe this is something you need to, let me finish because I'll forget too. I'll forget as well. Very good to notice tone and that spark. When do they interrupt? What subjects? What do they ask them? What do they do in their spare time? Who are you when you're not in front of this box? Are you ever not in front of this box? And so on. Notice tone for all of that. Everybody will, have different tone. It's a beautiful thing. Listen for the silences, the silence between the breath, the silence between the notes. Listen for the silence when you have to pick up. Sometimes it won't be that they're no longer interested. Sometimes it'll be that took them into deep thought. Sometimes I hear a silence and I continue, and then suddenly the person goes, whoa, I'm still thinking about what you just said 2 things ago. And I just take it as silence, Maybe they're taking it like, oh, yeah. Meanwhile, they're pondering it. They're contemplating it. So following their rhythm, just like in breath, just like in love, just like in anything, following that rhythm that's going on to where you are the creator of it, so to speak, the co-creator. But you're also witnessing it. It's also flowing through you. It's also happening. Enjoy it. Instead of going into this power struggle, eliminate the power struggle, eliminate the we're going to talk so someone's right. We're going to talk so somebody's going to be right now. We're going to talk right, okay? Leave it alone. Orange is orange. For them, it's more red. For you, it's more yellow. Okay, beautiful. How awesome that you see it differently. Did you ever start thinking about that? How awesome that you see this differently. I don't see that. But it's so interesting that you do. Without being bad person about it. No, really meaning it. Think about it. They see a color different than you do. They see an object as something different than you do. Embrace that, accept it, then let it go. So eliminate the I'm gonna talk because she's got to see, and stop. That's the next step, I guess. She's got to see who I am. She's got to see what. Stop defining yourself. Allow them to see you as what they want to see you as. And don't, fall into these defending yourself or proving yourself. Because, once you put that energy of that, you're proving yourself, you will continue to have to prove yourself for the rest of the time in this relationship, in this dialogue. Yes. You are. Stop proving yourself. If you continue to need to prove yourself in conversations and dialogue and virtual communication, in posts and this and that, if you have this insatiable need to prove yourself, then please, go back to the drawing board. Go solve that. That's your darkness. It's time to fix it. Not fix it. Actually, not fix it. I take that completely back. Transform it. Find out what strength is in there. No, not fix it. There's strength in there. You've got to pierce it with the light, pierce it with your presence, with your acceptance, and you're confronting it face to face. Why do you always have to be right? Why do you always have to do somebody up? Why? Beautiful questions to ask yourself to not get anywhere, to know yourself better. Don't you want to know who you are? To know yourself better. Observe yourself observing the scene. Observe yourself observing them. And then observe the one that's doing the observing. Really get into the moment. Enjoy it. You'll see.